Welcome to part 3 of Contact Management System LWC project implementation. In this particular session, we will cover other two main actions of the component, which would be this row action column. And here, if you see, we have in the sample component, we have edit and delete actions. So we are going to display this column and then include these two actions, and we will also implement these two actions. Okay, we will make it work completely. All right, so that is the agenda for this session, and let's just go ahead and get started. And before that, I would just show you what we have built till now. So we have only till column email, right? So let's just start with step 1 by displaying the column first. Okay, the action column, and after that we will include the action names and then the implementation. So I'll go here, and these are the columns that we have. Okay, so here I'm going to include another column for actions, and the type would be action, and then we will provide type attributes. Okay, the type attributes would be row actions, and this will actually invoke getRow actions. I'll explain you this, so don't worry about it. Okay. All right. So this particular piece of line, okay, this is going to create the action row. So because I have defined, so there is this one column, right? Every object is a column, okay? So this object has the type as action. So that means it is going to create that triangular icon, right? This icon. This is going to create this icon, okay? Because the type is action, type is defined as action, okay? And then on that action, what are the actions that I want to display? Okay, it could be edit, or it could be both edit and delete, or it could be like, even if I want to provide an action of view, although I'm displaying all the context, but let's say I want to provide that option as well in the actions. So basically, this type attributes is nothing but the row actions. Okay, what are the actions that you want to include in this particular column? Okay, and from where we are going to get those actions? We are going to get those actions from this method. Okay, and this is a standard method, and LWC component, like the data table itself, will invoke this method, okay, this function. So when the data table starts reading through the columns, when it comes to this line, it is going to invoke this function. Okay, so we have to go ahead and implement this function. Basically, we need to pass all the information regarding the actions that we want to create onto this column, okay, inside this method, so that when data table invokes this method, then it will know that what are the actions that you want to display. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this, and also this particular function, it takes two parameters. Okay, row, and I'll explain you this, so don't worry. Let's just first finish the structure inside. So as I said, right, when LWC invokes this, it will try to find what are the actions that you want to define, right? So let's just create an array of objects. Okay, so const and actions. This is where we have to push all the actions that we want to create. Okay, and inside this array, we will create multiple objects based on the number of actions that we want to provide. So one is for edit, one is for delete. Okay, and every object will take two parameters. Okay, label and name. Okay, so label, and let's give the label as edit, and we have to give the name as edit. And here I'll just copy the same thing and then replace it with delete. Okay, so delete, then delete. All right. Okay, now you have defined all the actions that you want to display, right? But even though data table has invoked this method and you have defined everything inside this array, right? But how data table is going to know, like, that, okay, what is what are the actions that you have defined in this array, and what are the actions that user wants to display, and then kind of like, render their screens based on the actions selected. Okay, so here let's just first understand what are these parameters. So row is nothing but, so let me explain you from here. Okay, so let's say this one is the sample component. Okay, so here if I click on here, right, so I am basically clicking on this particular row, correct? And if I am clicking on here, I am clicking on this particular row, and both of these rows, in fact each and every of these rows will have different information, right? If nothing, then the ID for sure is going to be unique, right? The row ID is going to be unique. So basically that row parameter will have all the information about one particular row. Okay, so let's say if user has clicked on here, okay, let's just imagine that LWC data table is trying to read through the columns. Let's say it is, and user here has like, clicked on here and he clicks on edit. Okay, so then how the data table is going to identify that which row the user has clicked? Okay, so it needs the row information. Okay, that is why the first parameter that we have is of row. Okay, so the row information is there. Now what is the second information that it needs? It needs to know which action has been clicked. Okay, and it makes sense, right? Data table should know both the things, that which row user wants to do something on, and apart along with the row, it also needs to know which action. Okay, so here if you check here, this done callback, okay, with this done callback we are going to give all the information, every action that we have available over here. Okay, so at least the data table will have all the actions, and then based on the row action it will identify, okay, these were the available actions and what user has clicked and what it should render. Okay, again, do not if you're not understanding this, it's fine, just take it slow and just try to understand this. Okay, we created a column, and in that column the type is action because we wanted to create that triangular little icon, right, for row action. The attributes would be row actions, right, because what are the attributes for that particular column? In that column you want to display few actions, right? So that is nothing but this type attributes, row actions, right? And how are you going to get the actions? From this particular method which data table kind of invokes, right? So when you implement this method, you have to pass the row information and also this callback. Okay, so this callback is useful when you have completed defining your actions. Okay, so basically when you are done defining your actions, you are going to call this callback and pass the actions, so that data table would know that, oh, okay, these are the actions that you have defined. Okay, so here done callback, and what are you going to pass here? You're going to pass actions here. Okay, and this, and let's just save this and deploy. So basically by this time data table knows that what are the actions that you want to display, correct? And this is the label. So let's just go ahead and see if this is our component. I'm going to refresh this, so I should be seeing two things. Okay, the column and the actions. Here. Okay, and here you can see the actions. If I break it down for you, right, so let me just go ahead and comment this method. Okay, and let me save and deploy this. So at this point I have commented this method, right? At this point I only have the column. Okay, I'm going to deploy this and show it to you. All right. So here the column has been created, but if you click on any of these columns, right, it's empty. There's nothing inside this. Okay, because the row actions, right, it is trying to invoke that method, but there's nothing, right? We have commented this out. Okay, so and when you actually implement this method by this time and by making this callback, you make sure that you are defining all the actions and sending it back to the data table, lightning data table. In short, you just need to remember that this done callback, you call this done callback in order to inform data table that, hey, these are the actions that I have, and please display these actions, okay? And just by the name, because it is invoking this inside this one of these columns, it is going to display those actions in this column, okay? So I'm going to uncomment this. All right, so now if I click, I'll be seeing edit and delete. Okay, but currently if I click on edit, nothing happens, right? If I click on delete, nothing happens because we have not written any logic. Okay, so now next step would be to think that how data table is going to identify that, like, what action is being taken. Okay, so for that we will go back to the HTML file, and here, you know what, let's just format this a little bit. Okay, right. Okay, so there's an attribute in the lightning data table called as onRowAction. Okay, that what should happen on row action, that means if user triggers any of the event. Okay, and by that I mean that if user triggers any of the event, as in if he clicks here and if he chooses to trigger any of these events, either edit or delete, then what should happen? That attribute in lightning data table is nothing but on row action. What you're supposed to do when one of the action items has been clicked from one of the rows. Okay, so here I'm just defining a method right now which we would have to implement later on in the JS file, but let's just name it as handle row action, maybe. Yeah, handle row action. Okay, and I'll just deploy this. Okay, now let's just understand from the sample component that what are the other things that we need to implement step by step. Okay, so here we have the column, we have the actions available. Now just observe what happens. Okay, so if I click on here, I am seeing these two options. Till this we have built. Okay, but after this we have not built anything. So I am going to explain you that what and all is happening in this sample component when any of the action is being clicked. Okay, so basically if I click on edit, okay, or if I click on delete, okay, there's no logic for delete right now, right? That is why it is showing me the error. So basically, I or any user who would be using this, they can click on any of these actions, right? So basically here in this method, right, which I am going to implement in my JS file, in this method, first I have to write the logic that what should happen if user clicks on edit and what should happen if user clicks on delete. Okay, so now first let's understand from UI that what and all should happen if user clicks on edit. Okay, so let me go back here and no, this delete did not, this was a sample component, this delete should have worked, but maybe some validation. Okay, anyway, leave that for now. So if I click on edit, what is the first thing that is happening? Click on edit, a model pop-up is opening, right? So in our component we have to create a model pop-up. Okay, that is step one. Step two is we have to make sure that this model pop-up opens when user clicks on edit and not on delete. Okay, so we have to create the model pop-up, and we also have to kind of put some check that this model pop-up only opens when user click on edit. That is point number two. What is point number three? All these fields that you're seeing, right? Everything, all of it, where is it coming from? It is coming from lightning data record form. Okay, so we have to create a lightning data record form. Okay, and inside that form, we have to define all these fields, okay? But just defining all these fields is not enough, okay? We also, the fourth thing, we also have to make sure that whichever record user is clicking and then clicking on edit, that particular contact's information should get pre-populated here, right? I did not fill any of these, right? Whatever that particular contact had, it kind of pre-populated everything for me, okay? So this was fourth or fifth step, okay? And after this, if user makes any changes, so there are two actions after this, right? The user can do either he can make any change and click on save, or he can simply click on cancel. So let's just first understand save. So if user changes anything and clicks on save, then again three things should happen, okay? The first thing is that this record should get updated, okay? And there is this inbuilt functionality in lightning record edit form, when you create a button and you keep the type as submit, then this this auto updation, you can this you will get there, so don't worry about it, okay? So we have to make sure that the record gets updated. That is point number one. And also when user clicks on save, along with the record updation, this pop-up should get closed. It's not like that user clicked on save and we are still on the screen, okay? So save, click on save, the data should get updated, the pop-up should get closed, and after the pop-up should get closed, what else should happen? A message should get displayed saying that the contact updated successfully, okay? And then along with that, after that toast message, this table should auto refresh. I do not want to manually reload the page, okay? So now you can imagine what are the sequence of steps that we have to keep in mind when we are going to build this, okay? So again, where do we have to start, okay? We have to start from row action that we already defined here, handle row action. Now we will implement handle row action, and we will first write the logic for what should happen if user clicks on edit, or what should happen if user clicks on delete, okay? Once we have that, the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to design the model pop-up, okay? And then inside that model pop-up, we are going to write the lightning record edit form structure, okay? Once we have that structure, we are going to write the logic for the model, open and close, okay? Then when it should get open, when it should get closed, okay? That is the next thing. After that, we will check the logic for what should happen on save and cancel, okay? Because it's not that when you hit on save, the story is over, right? It is still closing, displaying the message, auto refreshing, and a lot of other stuff, right? So we will write the logic for that as well, that we'll write a function of what should happen when user clicks on save, okay? Similarly, what should happen when user clicks on cancel, okay? So let's just go ahead and get started with it, okay? Step by step, all right? So I'm going to copy this function, okay? And I will go to my JS file and define this here, because I have to, and this will have an event, right? Because that's an event, whatever user is going to click, okay? And then from this event, what and all I will get when user click on any of the actions. I need the row details, right? Because when you are editing a record, how are you going to pre-populate the data? You need the row details, right? So that you can get the row ID. Because if you want to open one specific row, you need the information of that particular row, right? And how are you going to get it? With the help of row ID, okay? So that's one thing. Second thing is that the main step, right? That we should be knowing that what has been clicked, edit or delete, okay? So from this event, we can get both the information, what has been clicked, as in what action has been selected by the user. And the second is row details, okay? So let's just define two parameters here. So action, okay? So event dot detail dot action, okay? The second thing is row, okay? So for row, event dot detail dot row, okay? After this, we have to write a switch statement, which will basically decide that what should happen on edit and what should happen on delete. Okay, so we are going to write switch statement, and this should be working based on action.name. Okay, so another thing here, right? How would you know that action? So for example, from action, right? This is I have received the action here, but how are we going to get the name? We will get the name because when we initially assign the action, you remember we have given it a name. So name is nothing but like the unique identifier, right? So if edit has been selected, then in action.name, it will be edit. And if delete has been selected, then in action.name, it is going to be delete. Okay. So here, the first case would be edit. Okay. So let's just write that first. So case edit. Okay. So here, when user clicks on edit, what should happen? Okay. So as I told you, right? Just try to imagine it from the UI perspective. Okay, when you click on edit, two things, right? The model pop-up should open up, and also you should have the row ID so that you can pre-populate the data. Okay, so here there are two things for sure. I need the row ID, and I also need something here, right? Some kind of kind of property that defines that signifies that the model will open up. The moment it is the case of edit, model will open up and it will also provide the row ID. Okay, so here right now I am going to leave it as blank. Okay, because I have not defined those properties. And then another case, so we'll do that, don't worry. Okay, is delete. Okay, and again, what should happen on delete is something that is to be defined. Okay, so let me put a space here. We will, and then the last one is default. Okay, and then default will have pick. Okay, so we are going to fill this later on. Let's just first go ahead and kind of make this a little prettier and more organized. So we have data table. Let's just first create a lightning card. Okay, and put inside everything inside lightning card to give it like a better, although it's not going to create a very big difference from the UI perspective, the look and feel, but let's just keep everything inside this. Okay, so here this is going to be really slow, so you can maybe change the speed of the video because I'm gonna go slow, so don't mind that. Okay, so I have created a lightning card. Okay, and under that lightning card I have to, so another thing. Okay, so in this case, right, when I'm displaying the data table, I want to put a check, right, that if there is anything coming in context, then only I want to display the table, otherwise I want to display the error. Okay, so for that I have to put a check here. Okay, so here let's just create template if true. And what I need to validate here, if there is something in the contact, okay, then only I want to enter this data table. Otherwise, I don't want to enter this data table. Okay. And also, so lightning data table. All right. Let's just put it a little more inside template. Okay, and what should happen if there's an error? Okay, so template if true, what I am going to, so remember we have created a property error in our JS file where we are actually storing the error, right? If I show you it quickly, here you can see there's a property that we had created error, and inside the wire, right, when we were deconstructing and reorganizing everything, we had put this condition that if error, then store the error inside this particular property. Okay, so that is what we are using here. Okay, so if error comes out to be true, then what do we want to do? We want to display the error. Okay, So let's just create a little div here. If you want to style it, like, you can actually style it. I'm just going to put the minimal style here. As you would have seen that I have not made it very, like, colorful and so nice. It's like a very plain and simple thing, so that I'm going to basically put very simple stuff here. Okay, so here I am going to just create a div and I will just display the error. Okay, all right, so this looks a little better now, right? So basically, if there's anything in contact, then only it will go ahead and execute the data table, and if there's anything in error, then it is going to display the error. Okay, now coming back to the our main agenda is to, now let's just build lightning record edit form. Okay, but before that I want to build the model popup, right? Because when user clicks on edit, the model popup should open, right? And then on the model popup, the lightning record form should kind of, like, get created and pre-populate the data. Okay, now this, what is the position of this model popup? Okay, in terms of the UI of, like, data table. So in this, within this template only, we are going to define the lightning record edit form. Okay, and within this template itself, we are going to define the model popup. Okay, so basically we are like, overlapping the screens, right? There will be a screen in the backend, like the main table where we are displaying everything, but when user clicks on edit, on the same screen, right? I'm not, like, not on top, bottom, or anywhere else, but on the same screen I want to show a model popup, and then I want to show the record edit form, right? So that is why I'm just defining it under the same tag here. Okay, so here let's just first implement the lightning record edit form. Okay, so lightning record edit form, this expects few parameters, for example record ID. So currently we don't have the record ID, right? Because we have not received it in the JS file. So let's just give some name. Okay, record, or let's just give it as ID to edit record. Okay, something like this. And then it also, lightning record edit form also expects you to provide object API name. Okay, so object, these are parameters. Okay, object API name, and here either you can hard code the value here if it's just, like, one object you're working with, or you can just, like, set up this in JS file and then, like, dynamically populate this. Okay, so object API name. And then, because it's, so what are the buttons on lightning edit form? We have save button and we have cancel button, right? So on save button, basically, let's say if you have opened the opened the model popup, updated something on the contact and clicked on save, and let's say you're in the backend, right? Your data gets updated successfully. So basically clicking on save, if no error happens, that means you are getting a success, right? So what should happen on success? So we are going to also include that attribute here, that what should happen on success, because we have to do a lot of things on success, right? On success, we want to close the model popup, we want to display the toast notification, we want to auto refresh the data table, right? So that is why let's just define, like, name a function here, and then later on we can go ahead and implement that in JS file. Okay, so here I am just gonna call it as success handler. Okay, and let me make this screen a little bigger. Success handler, and this. Okay, now, like, you might observe that, like, we are directly creating the lightning record edit form first. Once we have this, then we can, like, outside this, right? Because this has to be inside the model popup. After we are done with this, we can create the model popup here. Okay, so first let's just complete this. Okay, so once you have defined it, I want every field to be presented in the form of input field, as in not read only, right? Not an output field, but as an input field where user can, like, make changes. Okay, so for that we have this tag of lightning input field. Okay, wherein we have to provide the field name. Okay, so lightning input fields, lightning input field, and here you have to provide the field name. So what is the first field name? You have to give the API names, okay? The API names, and yeah. So I will provide all the fields which I want user to be able to see and edit on the record form, okay? So let's just give first name. Let's just also last name, title as well, okay? And then phone, email, and what else you want to edit? We have account, right? Account name, okay? So these are the fields that I want to actually here. You know what? We have to display the account as a lookup, right? It's a form, right? So we can simply give account ID. We are not just displaying the record, right? We want like a lookup in editable format, right? So account ID is enough. Okay, so now we have everything for like, what is to be editable. After this, what else did we have? We had two buttons, right? Save button and close button. So let's just create those buttons, okay? So here, lightning button. Inside the button, we have to give the label of the button. We have to give that what color of the what color should the button be on, right? That is nothing but like there's a attribute called variant, right? Using which you can define the color. And then you have to give the type of the button. Okay, so let's just start with giving the color. Okay, so for save, I have used blue color, right? So the variant would be brand is something. These things you can find in, Salesforce LWC documentation. Okay. I mean, just do not keep on wondering, oh, why did I write brand and not like blue? Okay. These are standard things that they have defined. There are a lot of like, variants. Just like this, there is brand, there is like, success, and like, other kind of variants. And with every variant name, the color changes. Okay. So here the brand variant gives you the blue color. Okay. So brand. And after that, I'm going to give type as submit. This is very important, okay? Because this is what is going to let you save the data. Because in your JS file, you don't have to write any specific function to save the data. And also in your Apex class, okay, you don't have to write a method to insert the data, okay? Just by doing this, your lightning record form, edit form is going to insert the data, okay? So we have this, and then let's just provide label. In label, I just want to call it as save, okay? And after this, that's it. Let's just keep it this right now. And I'm going to create another button for cancel, okay? So I will keep the color as neutral because I don't want it to be a color button, and I'm going to remove this, okay? And the spelling is wrong, I think. Label. Okay, and it has to be cancel. So on save, we know what's going to happen, okay? But what should happen on cancel, okay? So on cancel, the model pop-up should close, right? So what are we going to do about it? We are going to take another parameter on click. What should happen on click? And let's just define the name. Later on, we are going to implement this in JS, okay? So for now, let's just give it a name as close model, okay? Like a simple name, okay? So this is my lightning. Now, you know what? If I simply deploy this code and try to, like, let's say I create the model and I deploy this code, then everything, like, after these fields, there will be no gap, no alignment for these buttons. Okay. So I'm just going to use like, few standard classes. Okay. And again, right, I have not memorized those class names. I use like, Salesforce documentation to refer that what class I can use for what kind of style. Okay. So I would suggest you also the same. So whatever I'm going to write now, don't try to memorize any of it. Okay. So here I'm going to first create a div because I want to keep the buttons separate. And in the div, I am just going to give a class, and SLDS, and then it depends on what I am going to write, and then let it shift a little bit. Okay, so this is okay, and all right. Okay, now as I told you, right, that along with this, so where should this lightning record form be displayed? It should get displayed on the model pop-up. Okay, so for the model pop-up, we have to create the model pop-up. Okay, there is no shortcut for the model pop-up, we have to create it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and create the model pop-up. So before creating the model pop-up, I am going to shift all of it a little inwards, and I am going to start the model pop-up from here. Okay, so first of all, I am going to so when do you want the model pop-up to open? You don't want to open it always, right? You want to open it when edit is clicked. So again, we have to put some if condition here, right? So we can, you know what, let's just put that later on. Let me first create the model pop-up. So I'm going to create a section. Okay, and that section will have I'm going to create, so okay, I can put it inside later on. I'm going to create a div. Okay, and then in this section I'm not going to style it to anything, but in this div I am going to give the class as SLDS model container. Okay, so as SLDS model container. Okay, and then inside this I am going to give the header and the header title. Okay, so when the model pop-up opens, I want to give that model a title, sorry, in place of the header I want to show some title. Okay, so I have to first define the header tag. Okay, and in the header tag I will have a class, and inside this class again SLDS model header. Okay, so SLDS model header. Okay, and then inside this header I will define the header title. Okay, so class SLDS model header title, or I think it's title. It's just title. Okay, right. This. Okay, and what should be in the title? Let's just give it as contact. Okay. All right, so we have the header title. Now after the header title we are going to create another div, and then inside that, because just imagine the UI, right? You have the model pop-up. On top you will see the title, and then below the title you will see the lightning record edit form, right? And that lightning record edit form I want to keep it in a div. Okay, so I am going to create another div here. Okay, div, and first of all, I'll just give a class here. Okay, or I think, yeah, I need to still define, right, that. Okay, div for the content. Okay, class SLDS model content. Okay, and also let's just make it of medium size. Okay, so SLDS and p hyphen medium, and that's it. Okay, so inside this my lightning record edit form should come. Where is the lightning record edit form? Here, right? So take this, cut this, and paste it here. Okay, all right. So now I have the model pop-up, and then inside the model pop-ups content I am displaying the lightning record edit form. Okay, but as I said, right, when should this model pop-up open? So for that, I'm sure that a lot of you know about it, but then again, right, for any beginners, we need to create a flag in JavaScript file. Because JavaScript file is the one where we have kept all the logic, right? So because this is where, where you will identify what action has been selected, right? Is it edit or is it delete? Okay, so basically all the main stuff you're getting that information from here, right? So it is easier to define a flag here and then keep on turning that flag on or off based on any operation that we are doing. Okay, it is easier. Okay, we will just give an initial value, okay, and we will keep on flipping the value based on how do we want it. Okay, and then the same flag we are going to use on the HTML file, that if this flag is true, then show the model, or if the flag is false, then close the model. Okay, so that way. So now I am going ahead and first of all creating a property in the JS file. Okay, so let's just create a property is model open here. So is model open, and initially I am, so as in by default I'm going to keep it as false. Okay, now when user clicks on edit, what was the first thing that we wanted? We wanted the model pop-up to open, right? So before implementing any of those logic, I will go to the HTML and I will, before even the model pop-up shows up, I'm going to put this condition that it should only open if this flag is true. Okay, and by default I have made it false. So it's not like you will load the page and the model pop-up will come up. It should not, right? It should only come up when user clicks on edit, right? So that is why it has been kept as false when it is defined. Okay, now I will go to HTML and I'm going to keep this inside another condition that will say that display all of it only if that flag is true. All right, so let's just go ahead and take another template. Okay, so template, let me again shift this data a little bit inside. Okay, and here I'm going to define another template if true. And what am I trying to access here? I'm trying to access, one second, first let me keep it here. Okay, and here inside this the flag, right? So this is the flag. So if this flag is true, then only open the model pop-up and show the record edit form, otherwise don't. Okay, so this looks fine to me. Now let's just go ahead. So where do we want to open the model pop-up? When user clicks on edit, right? So I am going to make this flag as true when the row action is edit, right? So row action, where was the row action? This was the handle row action, right? And what is this? This was the lightning data table on row action, that if user selects anything from the row action. So when it is edit, I want to make this property as true. Okay, and what will happen the moment this property is true, the HTML will satisfy this condition because it is true, and then it will enter, it will show the model pop-up, and it will also show the record edit form. Okay, and so likewise, right, I'm not going to identify right away that where are the places where I should be closing or making this true or false. But this is the first example that when user clicks on edit, I want this model pop-up to get open. That is why I made it true. Okay, and after that, okay, now let's just leave the story of model popper right here. Okay, now because if you have understood, then going forward, wherever I use it, you will understand that what I'm trying to do. Wherever I'm keeping it as true, I want at that particular moment condition, I want the model pop-up to open, and wherever I define it as false, I want the model pop-up to close at that point of time. Okay, so you will understand that. Now let's just proceed. So what did we do till now? We displayed the column, we displayed the actions, edit and delete, and when user clicks on edit, we are making this flag as true, which will also make the model pop-up to display along with the lightning record edit form. But now, what is the next catch? The next catch is that it should not only display the form, but it should pre-populate the data, right, of the row, right? So any row where the user goes and clicks on edit, it should open the pop-up, it should show the record form, but it should also pre-populate the data. For pre-population of data, you first need the ID of the record, right? And that is why here, if you see, this particular form took this attribute, right, record ID. But this we have not defined it, right, anywhere in our JS file. So let's just go and get the value inside this. Okay, so I'll go to JS and I'm first going to define this property. Now I've defined this property, but I also need to gather information, right, from this on this property. And where can I get it? So in under handle row action, right, if you go to handle row action again, here we had the action information, but we also had the row information, correct? So here, what if I write this dot and the property I just defined above this, I want the record ID, okay? And I have the row information here, okay? So if I just get it like this, should it work or not? It will, right? Because when user clicks on any of the actions, right, this gets invoked, okay? And what is inside this function? This function, this is nothing but an event is getting triggered, right? So this event is already giving me the information that what row is there and what action is there, okay? And that row and action I am already receiving inside this, right? So from the row information, I will get the row ID as well, right? So when user clicks on edit, I opened the model pop-up and I provided the row ID. The moment I provided the row ID, this particular property have the value of the row ID. And when this when the lightning record edit form reads this, right? So based on that record ID and based on this object API name, it is going to pre-populate the data of that particular row. Okay. So I hope you understood this part. Okay, now before we go ahead and try it out, let's let's see what we have to I'm just trying to think that what should we implement first, but we can implement delete later. Let's just only focus on edit. Okay, so let me first deploy whatever we have built till now. Okay. So actually we can implement this really quick. Okay. We have to go here and close model. And what do we have to do here? We have to just make this flag as false, right? We want to close the model pop-up when someone clicks on the cancel button. All right. Right. Okay. So now if here someone clicks on the cancel button, so this method will be called, and this method is actually making this boolean false. That means the pop-up will close. Okay. You know what? Let's just also cover this delete, right? What should happen when user clicks on delete action. Okay. So I'm going to define this dot, and then let's just say define a method as delete record. Okay. And we have to basically for delete, okay, we are going to write a method in our Apex class, which is going to get the data from this table to the JS file and then pass this parameter to that particular method in Apex class. And then in Apex class, we can use the delete DML to kind of delete the data. Okay. So let's just go ahead and try to do that. So here, when I'm doing this, I need the row ID, right? I should be knowing that which one user is trying to delete, correct? So I need this method, and I'm already having the ID. So now I have to pass this ID to that Apex method that I'm going to write. Okay. So first of all, we can also go ahead and write that method here. Okay. So again, let's just get this first, and then, all right. So public void delete contact, sorry, public void delete contact. And here, so this method will expect, like, expect an ID, right? So that when you get the ID as the parameter, you can write the query and you can fetch only that contact for that particular ID, right? You don't have to fetch all the contacts, correct? I mean, whatever user has selected, only that contact you want to fetch and delete, correct? So here, let's just define parameter string contact ID, okay? And inside here, I want to delete only this contact. So I'm not sure if this should actually work. So delete, and then I will just write the query over here. Okay, so select ID from contact, where ID, right? As in the contact ID. Okay, ID in this. This is the ID. Okay, I don't want to delete anything else. Okay, so this method, and I'll deploy this class. So our delete method is ready. Now all we have to do is that from our JS, what happened? Must be named with a prefix. Okay. Why is that? Did I do something? I think it has to go inside a list so that we can perform that DML operation on the list, right? So list contact list con to delete equals to, and then let's just delete this. Okay, delete this. That's it. What's wrong with this? Why does it keep on? I think it's fine. Public public static void get delete contact list. Okay, this is fine, and this is not required. Okay, we are not going to fetch this data again, right? Whatever we are deleting, so no cache, nothing is required here. So I'm going to deploy this. Let me check really quick what's wrong. In operator must be used with an iterable expression. That is true. So ID is equals to, right? I mean, you use in, I don't know. You use in when you have a list, right? When you are iterating. Okay, so, and also we have just one ID coming at one time, right? So where ID is equals to this ID, all right? And then deploy this. Now the next step is to pass the contact ID to this method from the JS file. So now first we have to import this method, right? Otherwise we will not be able to do anything on this method. So I am going to copy this, and you should ignore this. Okay, and here, get delete contacts, and here I want to change this method name. Okay, so delete contact. There's, I mean, get delete contact is not making much sense. Okay, so here, this, and then I will also, I mean, I can give a different name here, but I'm just going to give the same name. Okay, so we have completed the delete function in the Apex class. We have also imported this. Now we have to pass the ID parameter, right, from JS, so that that parameter can come here and then it can query that particular contact record and it can delete it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start writing this delete record method first. Okay, so this close model, let me just keep it below. So delete record, and as we are passing the row.id here, right? So here I can just give it any name as like, contact ID. You can give like, whatever name you want over here and it's gonna work. Okay. So once I have given the contact ID, now we need to pass the parameter. Okay. So in order to do that, first we are going to, and this time we are not using wire. Okay. We are using the imperative way of calling a method from Apex. So I am going to call this, okay, there's a method, call this, and inside this, I have to pass the ID parameter, okay? So this is the syntax, okay? So here, the name that I have given here is contact ID, okay? And the name that I have given the variable in the Apex class is also actually contact ID. So contact ID. Contact ID. Okay. So now I'm implementing a method for handle row action. Okay. When user clicks on delete, then what should happen? It is invoking another function, delete record, right? Because you know what? If I try to directly access an Apex method inside here, it will throw me an error. Okay. So it is better to define another function, and then inside that I will use the imperative way of calling the Apex method and have pass my ID from there. Okay. Um, and also another reason for using imperative way is that you cannot use wire inside another method. Okay. Wire, if you're using wire, it has to be the main initiator in the method. Okay. You cannot use it inside any other method. So, okay. So this particular delete action is invoking this function. And what this function is doing, because we are getting the row.id here, we are keeping it here in this particular property. And then we are calling this Apex method. And when we are calling this Apex method, we are passing the contact ID to the contact ID attribute that this method has. Okay. So this should get the row.id value. All right. So now, once we have the row.id value, what is the next step that we want to do? Okay. So here, this is the syntax for when you're writing an imperative method. Again, I'll be although I'm going very slow, but I won't be able to explain each and everything, why we are writing then, why we are going to write catch and all of that. But this is the standard syntax. This is nothing that people write differently. This is the this is the syntax. All right. So then, and then under then I'm going to use the arrow function here. And then in the arrow function, I will define what I want to do. Okay. So basically this then, and then this catch. Okay. Catch. So based on what I receive from Apex, okay, because Apex might give me error also, right? That maybe what if it doesn't it can't delete the data, then what will it do? It will give some error, right? So I would want to do something when the deletion is successful, and I would want to do something when the deletion is not successful. Okay. So let's just imagine that when you call this function, you pass the ID, then the deletion was basically this particular call was successful. Then what would you do? In this case, I want to display a toast message. Okay. And when is this all happening? When user clicks on row action and clicks on delete, right? The moment he clicks on delete, you're invoking this method, it is calling this Apex method, you're passing the parameter, and in the Apex method, it is deleting the contact. And once it gives you the result back as success, then what do you want to do on the UI? You want to show toast message, right? Saying that contact got deleted successfully. So now in order to show the toast message, we have something you need to basically you can import another uh, you can import another API from this for this, which is available in LWC. So you need to just import that first, and then we can see what we have to do next. Okay, so let's just go ahead and here we are going to import and so show toast event. Okay, show toast event. Okay, I don't know why it is not giving me the suggestion, but that's fine. And this is to be fetched from lightning platform show event. Okay, so is it showing me any? Okay, lightning, why is it not showing me suggestion? Okay, platform, I think I'm lightning form show toast event, lightning form show toast event. So platform show, okay, show toast event. Okay, let me just check this again. Lightning slash platform show toast event. So platform show toast event, which looks fine to me. Okay, so once you have imported this, right, you can dispatch this event, and you can provide the message title or whatever you want in that toast notification. Okay, so once you have imported this, all you have to do is you have to dispatch it wherever you want the toast notification. Okay, so let's just go to the deletion part and display the toast message. Okay, so here you first need to as I said, right, you need to dispatch this. So this dot dispatch event, and in this dispatch event you have to initialize new show toast event, and inside this you will have different attributes where you have to provide the value. Okay, so the first one is title, I think. Sorry, why is it showing? Okay, so where it should auto populate, it does not, and where it is not supposed to, it is auto populating. So success, and then I also want to this is title, right? Title, message. Okay, title, message, and variant, because I want the toast notifications in different color for error, right, and for success. So in message I can give contact deleted successfully. Okay, and I also want to give the variant. Okay, so if you remember the variant from the HTML file, it is very similar to that. Okay, I want to show in green color. Okay, so this is what will happen if we receive a success, result, by calling this delete contact method from the Apex class. Okay, but if there is an error, then we should be displaying the error, right? So let's just copy this and paste it. Okay, this should be, and we'll just change the message and the variant. Okay. And here I can give the title as that, error deleting the record, error deleting the record. All right. And then we can, in the message, you can actually print the error body. Okay. Error dot body dot message. And then in the variant, I don't want to give it as success. I want to give it as error. All right. So what did we do? Based on these two actions, if it is edit, we are opening the model, showing the model pop-up, providing the lightning edit form, and also passing the row ID so that the lightning record form, because it already has the object API name, right? We have provided it over there as contact, but it will also get the record ID. And then when user clicks on delete, it is invoking this method, and then the whole story that it is calling this method. And if this success, then the success toast event. If it is error, then this error toast event. Okay. And all right. Okay, so this looks fine to me. Now let me deploy this. Okay, I'm going to deploy this and let's just check what's the status on the UI. Okay. All right, let it refresh. What happened to this? So let's first quickly check the delete and then we can check the edit because delete is like really straightforward. So for example, let me test this on a new data. So using the sample component, I'll just go ahead and create a sample data. Yeah. Because the existing contacts, they are the contacts created by the org. So they are like, used at a lot of places. So I don't want to delete them. Okay. All right. So going back to our component. So let's just try deleting this. Okay. So first action, delete. We have only shown the toast message on the delete, right? We have not done the auto refresh. Okay. So yes, we got the toast message, but you can see the data is still here, right? I have to refresh this in order to see the latest data. Okay. That record is gone, right? The one that we deleted. Now, if I see the edit, what happened on the edit? Wow, it's coming down and the pop-up is not getting shown. So looks like a disaster. Let's just go and quickly fix this. Okay. So we are first going to fix of course, the HTML, right? That is where the whole thing has been done. And this is which is not working properly. All right. So, okay. So the first mistake that I can see is that all of this is supposed to be double underscore. Okay. None of these classes would be applied. All right. And here also it should be around medium. Okay. I think double underscore around medium double underscore. No, it should be just single. Okay. And then where else? This top medium is fine. And even in this section, okay, just let's give it role should be dialogue, okay, and tab index -1, and then we also have area area model should be true, and after that we have the class should be slds model SLDS model and then SLDS paid in open. Sorry. In open. Okay, so we have given the role. Okay, looks fine. Container, header, title. Title. Yeah, this also double underscore. Okay, looks fine. Content data should again be double underscore. Okay, this is fine. Top medium is also fine. And let's also give the class to the buttons, okay? I'll just make it SLDS right small, okay? So SLDS right small, okay, and then okay, looks fine. And also when we open the pop-up, right, the background screen goes a little gray, right? So that is also, that comes from a class, okay? So after the section where it is ending, here we have to actually create that grade div, right? And on top of that, it's all like, all of it will show up. So in that class, it is called something as backdrop SLDS backdrop. Basically, you have to open that, okay? So backdrop and then SLDS backdrop open. Okay, so here I think it should be single underscore. Then this. I also, guys, I just created a CSS file as well, where I'm only giving the model container as some width, okay? Although it shouldn't be as small, like, but I'm just giving like a good enough width, and I'm going to deploy this, okay? So let's check. All right. After fixing the HTML, let's check that what is the condition of the form, okay? So let me refresh this. Okay. So if I click on here, okay, I am getting the model pop-up now. The back screen is getting grayed out. And this looks okay. This needs a little bit more refining, but we can do that later. So no worries. Let's just first try to resolve the other issues. So for example, the values are not getting populated over here. Okay. So let's go back to, because delete is working, that means this, like, it is entering into here, and like, this one is getting executed. So specifically here, there's something wrong here, right? And this is also getting executed because the model is open up, right? Only this part is not like, kind of executing. So let's just try to print this. I need to edit. Okay. And I'm going to try and print this. All right. I'm going to click on edit again, and I need to check the console, okay? Info. So basically my hunch is that it is again due to that lock service, right? So like where it kind of converts everything into this proxy, right? So rather than like, putting a lot of time in debugging, what I'm going to do is, because I'm like, I'm kind of worried about that proxy, right, that it creates. Maybe it is not able to reach till the structure inside, okay? So here, rather than doing row.id here, I'm just taking the row.id here itself. And here I'm changing the variable name. So wherever I have row.id, I'm going to use this. And then even here, I'm going to use this. Okay. And all right, I did nothing. Okay, because I've worked on this, so I'm pretty sure that that event dot detail would be returning us like proxy. Okay, and in that proxy, the row action and row would be two different like objects, and it is like in the nested structure. So again, the proxy issue, right? So rather than like only fetching till row and then trying to fetch the IDs inside, I'm just fetching the ID here itself and then using that row ID. Okay, so let's just deploy this and let me refresh and then check again. All right, so edit here, you can see, right? It was, I mean, even if it happens to you as well, right? Then always like debug and see that like if what is the structure that like you're getting back, and then like if it is proxy, and if it is not proxy, after like stringifying it, after passing it, where till where you can reach. So all right, so let's just check this. I'm changing this name from Sean21 to Sean22. I'll click on save. Okay, and we have already like written that model pop-up for close. So on save, right, on success, I have not displayed any notification, right? So that is why I'm not getting any notification. But if I refresh, I should be seeing Sean 22, okay, instead of 21. So the data refresh part and then the handle success on save, these two things we have not done yet, right? So what happened to this? Let's just do that first. Okay, so is my HTML. Where is this button? Okay, type submit save, and on this record edit form success handler. Okay, so I'll go to JS, and have I defined it? I haven't. So success handler, and in success hand, but the record should have still gotten updated, but it did not. But let's just like implement this handle success, and then let me think if we missed anything. The type is submit, and also actually what this is could be case sensitive, so let's just keep it as small as. Okay, and honestly, let me just check that because it is case sensitive, so it might have just like created the issue. So let me check it again. So variant is brand, submit, and then label, right? So that's it. I'm going to deploy this again, and we will quickly check what happens. Refresh this, and I'm going to change the same record from Sean 21 to 22. So here, save. Oh, what happened here? It's not that easy to figure out. Okay, okay. Okay. When I'm closing that error window, this is showing me the updated record, okay? Let me deploy the whole component again. Maybe there's something which is throwing the error. But you saw, right? I did not change anything. I just closed that pop-up error, right? And then I just refreshed and I saw it updated. I didn't even kind of refresh it. So let me now try to update it to something else. and click on save. Again, right now I'm going to click on OK, cancel, and refresh this. And I want to see if this got updated to Sean 23 or not. And here it is, right? So it is throwing error, but that update is happening. Okay, so let's just go ahead and handle that success event. Okay, what should happen on success? So, and then we'll see what else we'll figure out what that pop-up error is. Okay, so this one, right? Success handler. Go ahead. And on here, right, I want to dispatch that success message, like that toast message event, right? So two things, right? I also want to close the pop-up, correct? I'll close the pop-up and I will also dispatch that event. Okay, so we already have written success toast message, right? This one. So let's just take this and paste it here. So yeah, so the moment and also this will have an event, right? Yeah. So on the success of record edit form, this event will be dispatched and it will show a notification contact dated successfully. Okay. And also along with that, we also have to close the pop-up, right? So here that model open should be false, right? So where is it getting closed here, right? And then this dot is model open. Here we have to make it false. Okay, so now we made it to false. And you know what, along with this, let's just also see that how we can implement refresh data. Okay, so the first thing is to import refresh apex. Okay, here in the import. So import the way we had imported show toast event, right? Similarly, we are going to import this, and this will be refresh. Why does it not give me suggestions? So refresh apex. Okay, refresh apex, and this would be from salesforce apex. Okay, so this would be is there annotation? Yes, annotation should be there. Salesforce apex. Once we have this, right, refresh apex, once we have imported this, we can use its function. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and first write a function to refresh the data. Okay, so basically in that function we will check. Okay, we will check that based on if there is a if so let me just start writing the method, and then while I write it, I will explain it. Okay, so I'm going to add a method here as refresh data. Okay, so here in refresh data, I want to return, first of all, what do I want to return? I want to return list of updated records. Okay, I'm just keeping it blank. We would have to get that list from above. Okay, and we will use a tertiary operator. Okay, so if we have the latest data, then we are going to call this method refresh apex. Okay, and here we will display the, hold on, let me write it. Okay, it's very confusing to kind of keep on telling you something. Okay, so here I am, first of all, I'm going to our wire method. Okay, and in our wire method I am going to create another property. Okay, where I would be keeping my this result to refresh the data. Okay, so here, okay, so before even deconstructing it, I'm going to, so I'm just before even doing anything on the response, I'm just keeping that response into another property. Okay, and every time a refresh is required, I'm just going to use the refresh method of this refresh apex and pass this property. So what will it do? It will take this property and it will pass into that method of refreshApex, and it will, like, that is why we have, like, imported this, right? We are not writing it from the scratch. We are importing it so that we can use its function. Okay, we just have to provide it the list, the response. Okay, and the response, that is why before I'm doing anything on the response, I'm just keeping it into a different separate variable. Okay, so let's just take it as a wired contact result. Okay, and here I would just keep the result. Okay, and this wired contact result, this actually should be I think it's fine. This should be defined, right? This should be defined. All right, so try to understand this. Okay, in order to do the auto refresh, you're first importing refreshApex. Okay, once you import this, let's just scroll down to here. Okay, this refreshApex function that you're seeing, right? You can use this function, okay, because you have imported refreshApex. But when you are using this function, you have to pass this function a property that carries the response, the data. So because I'm doing a lot of things under wire on the data, that is why before even starting anything, I just kept all the, like, everything inside this, and I'm going to pass this in the refreshApex method. Okay, so refreshApex and then this dot data, and here uh, this. All right. Okay, so what does it mean? Okay, so it is going to, here it should be this dot. Okay, so if there is anything inside this, okay, then it is going to call this method refresh, otherwise it will be undefined. Okay, so every time we are doing some operation, until unless there is a data inside this, it is going to call the refresh method and pass the array that we have, the property that we have had here. Okay, otherwise if there is nothing inside that, then it is going to just return undefined. Now again, going back to step 1 of refreshApex, you have to import refreshApex. By the moment you import it, right, that means now you can use its function, which is called refreshApex. Okay, but that function expects you to pass an array, right, to pass a list of the data. And where do you have the data? You have the data in wire. Okay, so in wire, because we are, like, doing all these things, like, data flattening and all that stuff, so I just created another property and I have, like, passed the result to this property. Okay, and then this like, function, when it expects you to return the, like, auto refresh the data, right, to latest data, then what you can do is you can just get the data from here. Okay, and also see, it's not just that what you're doing on the data, right? This step is going to be the first step, right? The moment you call wire, this has the most latest data, right? And after that, you're, like, extracting it, and you're, like, kind of creating your own object, and then you are modifying it. So this is why we are, like, creating another property, and then we are simply passing the response to this property, so that every time we need the latest data to be passed to the refreshApex, we can just pass it. Okay, and that function is going to auto refresh and show the latest data. Okay, so here, but that function we are defining, and like, this tertiary operator, that if there is anything inside it, then only call the function. Okay, and pass this list, otherwise just, like, let it be undefined. Now, where and all do we need this refresh data? When we edit a record on the success, correct? And when we delete a record on the success. So both the time we need to refresh the data. Okay, so let me just copy this, and the success handler of record edit form, right? So record edit form, hold on, this record edit form model is closed, and let's first display the, no, hold on. This is fine. Okay, let me just go step by step. So delete the record. Okay, and once we show this message, right, this toast message, Then basically, yeah, okay, hold on. So in delete, you know what, after success, right? Of course, like, if error comes or not, that's like, we can think about that later. But once you get the message that, like, your contact deleted successfully, you want to refresh the table just after that, right? And where is that happening? It's happening here, right? You get a toast notification of that, like, your contact got deleted. And after that, you would want to call this method, okay? And this, because it's a function that we have defined, so this dot refresh data. So after deletion, right? After deletion, we want to refresh the table. After this, we have to see that where our update is completing, okay? Basically, when the edit is getting completed, that is where we want to again like, do this refresh data, okay? So that will happen on the handle success, okay? So handle success of the record edit form, okay? That means the user has updated whatever he wanted, and then he has clicked on save. That means that will be a success to the record edit form, okay? And on success, we are calling this function, okay? And then we are displaying a message that contact updated successfully. And after that, we want to close the pop-up, and we also want to refresh the data, okay? So here, again, this dot refresh data and this. All right, let's deploy and check. So the edit was happening even before these changes, right? We just have to see that error should not, that random error that was coming, right? That should not come up. And also we should be getting the toast messages, and the data should get refreshed. So I'll click on edit. Let's check, change Jack 11 to Jack 12. Jack 12. See, this got auto refreshed and we got the toast message, right? After this, the other change that we had was on delete, right? The moment I delete, this should get auto refreshed, and all, like, along with the toast message, there should be a toast message, and then the auto refresh should happen. And again, here, I don't want to delete. These are, like, these are referred some, or like, a lot of places. So I'll just create another test data here, okay? And from the sample component, okay? And here, let me reload the page to see the existing data, right? So in existing data, this is one. So now the delete, let's just check with this. If I click on delete, then I should see the toast notification for that contact deleted successfully. And I should also not be seeing this record anymore. It should auto refresh, okay? So delete and done, right? So edit and delete both are covered, along with toast message and auto refresh, okay? Now let's just go back to the component and just, like, revise everything, like, really quick, like, starting from what we did. So we started from here, right? We added a column, okay, for actions, and when lightning data table is reading through the columns, it will invoke this method, getRowActions, okay? In getRowActions, we have two parameters, row and doneCallback. Row is for to, like, it will give the whole row detail, okay? And this is to, like, we call doneCallback when we want to inform the lightning data table that we are done with defining the actions, and here it is ready, and please take it and display it, okay? So in getRowActions, still here you will get the column and then those two row actions, edit and delete, okay? After that, if you go back to the lightning data table, right? So lightning data table, here we have a parameter attribute called onRowAction. On row action, that means if user is selecting any of like, edit or delete action from the row. So you will call this method, okay, handle row action. Then going back to the handle row action here, in this event, we are extracting action as well as row ID, right? Because we need to decide, right, that what should happen on edit and what should happen on delete. Okay, so we are extracting action and row ID from this event.detail, and then we are it's like just if condition, right? We are writing a switch statement, and when it is iterating over to the action.name, okay, action.name is coming from here, right? So this is action, but what do we have inside action? We have these names, right? So we are iterating over action.name. If it is edit, then open the model popup, right? The model popup that we have created in the HTML file. And then also pass the row ID, because when the model popup is open on edit, it also has to pre-populate every data, right? So it should have the row ID, then only it can use this row ID in the lightning record edit form in the record ID attribute and can pre-populate the data, okay? So here, if I go back to HTML really quick, this particular piece of code I have written for the model popup, and inside the model popup, we have this code for lightning record edit form. Here, this lightning record edit form, it takes few standard attributes, record ID. This is the record ID where we are passing the row ID from the JS file, okay? And then object API name here, of course. Okay, and then of course we have this is model open, because we don't want to open up and show the model each and every time. So that is why we have created a flag in JS file and we have kept it false by default. Okay, and every time we want the model to kind of pop up, we will just make it true or false based on the requirement that we have, right? Based on the conditions that we encounter. If we want to close it as per our requirement, we will make it false, and if we want to keep it open, then we will make it as true. Okay, and then just based on your flag, this will render. Okay, if it is true, then it will open the pop-up. Okay, and then this record edit form, like whatever fields you want, you have to, and we have used lightning input field because everything should be editable, right? So that user can change information. And then in this lightning record edit form, we have created the buttons where the type of your save button should be submit, because this will allow the auto creation of the record so that you don't have to write a separate method in your Apex in order to insert the data. Okay. So, and then again, on the success of the lightning record edit form, okay, we are displaying the toast message and we are also closing the model pop-up. Okay. So here, if I go back really quick, here we are showing the toast message that updated successfully, and we are closing the model pop-up and we are refreshing the data. Okay. And then on the cancel, when user clicks on cancel, then it should simply close the model pop-up. So here we just have to flip that flag. Okay. Where is it? Here. Okay. We have to just flip this flag to false. Okay. And then in, let's just quickly talk about show toast event and refreshApex. Okay. So if you want to show toast messages, then you have to import this event. Okay. Once you have imported this, you have to just dispatch it. Okay. Dispatch it and provide the details that you should provide. For example, title, message, and how the color, right? The brand, you can call it as the brand, or the variant, right? Brand is the name of the variant. So 3 things: title, message, and variant. Okay, so you have to dispatch it and just pass the details, and that's it. Okay, so wherever you want the toast message, just 2 things you have to do: import show toast event, and wherever you want the toast message, dispatch the event, pass these 3 details, and that's it. Okay, so this is the only, these are the only 2 steps to kind of to show any toast event. Okay, now refreshApex, as we just discussed 2 minutes back, but then again, if you want to auto refresh the data, you have to import this. Okay, refreshApex. So you can use this function, refreshApex function, but this function expects you to pass the data. Okay, now we are going to keep the data just after we have called the we have basically wired LWC and Apex method. Okay, so we are passing the result to a new property, and this new property we are going to use to pass to anywhere where we are using refreshApex, and we want to refresh the table. Okay, so first, step number 1, import. Step number 2, keep the result in a new property. If you want to try it out with, let's say, contacts, you can do that. I did not try that. Maybe I don't know what what and all errors you would be encountering, but I think this works perfectly fine, because you are anyways calling wiring the LWC and Apex method at this point of time, right? So you, whatever you have, you can just keep it into this property and just keep on using it wherever you want. Okay, and then first step, second step, third step is to define a function, right? Refresh data by yourselves. So in that function, we have to use this refreshApex. Depending on if there is anything inside this property, then refreshApex, as in refresh this list. Otherwise, let it be undefined. And then this function you can use wherever you want to, you want the page to be auto refreshed. All right. So this session covers the completion of the table, at least I would say, the display of the table, and read DML operation. Then we have also covered edit, and we have delete. We have also covered what we just discussed, auto refresh, toast message, and also modal pop-up, opening of it and closing of it, and how it kind of renders. We also discussed on record, lightning record, editForm. Okay, I would say that while you're doing all of this, the only thing that you might struggle a little bit is all these styling and stuff. But as I said, right, you don't have to memorize any of these things. Okay, just try to understand it. If you just don't want to copy and paste directly, even if you understand it, it becomes very easy, right? For example, even this, right, section, of course, these are few things which you might just not remember. But for example, this, there'll be a container, and then under that container there'll be header, then after that header there'll be title, after title there'll be actual content, right? So this is not very difficult to kind of identify that how it has been structured, because there is no shortcut to create the model pop-up. You have to create it like this. Okay, all right, so going back to the component. So in the next session, we are going to see how to create a new contact. So basically we'll be creating that button of new contact, and we'll see how to create a contact, and we will also check out the search bar and the contact search, that based on the search the table size reduces. Okay, and then after that, in the next session, at the last session, we are going to cover bulk delete. Okay, so till then, stay tuned, and bye bye.